Welcome to the Transform Sales Podcast, where forward-thinking business leaders come to share their experiences and ideas, learn from each other, and amplify their results together.
All right, guys, welcome to another session of the Transform Sales Podcast Software Review. Today we have a special guest. We have Sean, founder of CustomerIQ. How's it going, Sean?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Well, guys, those that are watching, today's going to be a special occasion. We're going to be talking about customer insights. We're going to be talking about CRM automation and how AI is supporting a lot of sales teams to make sure that those deals get moved through the pipeline and you're very well informed and sending out personalized messages. So that will be the topic for today. But if you want, let's get started. Give us a little bit of your background. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how everything started with CustomerIQ.
Sure, definitely. And thanks for having me. This is great. So I'm a serial entrepreneur now. This is my third company, and took a fun winding road to get here today. Basically 2 years ago, I had started playing around with some of these newer AI models. This was a little bit before ChatGPT lit the world on fire, and it just immediately kind of clicked for me that this is the future. It was magic, and we especially noticed, my co-founder and I, was that when we threw a large amount of unstructured text, it was really good at pulling structure out. So in a lot of ways, we were actually kind of like a hammer in search of a nail at that point. We knew this was going to be transformative in a number of different things. One of the things that was always the most annoying to me as a founder, doing everything from like product to sales to marketing in my last companies, which were actually not related to sales tech. It was more, it was actually both were in fintech. But there was a lot of CRM data entry. So I kind of immediately knew like CRM is the largest B2B SaaS category. Really everyone uses it in some way or another. And we had this opportunity to take all of this unstructured conversation and give it structure, which now really has formalized itself in just automating completely the CRM data entry that sales and account management teams do. But we can also, so we can kind of take that administrative burden off their plates. But then also we could pull out highlights and just really great notes that are perfect for other teams like product and marketing to understand like what are people saying on the front line. So anyway, that generally was the idea for CustomerIQ. We work with all different kinds of teams, mostly sales and customer success, like we'll talk about today. But we do have users on cross product and marketing that use this for all this great data entry automation.
Awesome, Sean. Thanks for sharing that. And what were some alternatives that your customers were using before they considered buying your product, considering the scenarios you kind of placed?
Yeah. So it's a great question. It's important to point out that we integrate with CRM. So some people will come in and say like, we already use Salesforce, we use HubSpot, and that's exactly what we do. We bolt on to those to make them 10 times better. So previous to us, what most people would do is just manually enter data after a call into their HubSpot CRM, and think of it as like any properties that your team has deemed to be important across contacts, companies, or deals that are open. That helps everyone be on the same page and move things forward, and also tasks like what do we need to do next based on the information in this conversation. So at the baseline, it's just manually entering the data. There are a lot of great meeting note takers on the market now that I'm sure people watching this have used. It feels like Fathom and Fireflies that really kind of led the way for what it means to record a meeting and then use AI to summarize it. We have a lot of teams that use those and then come to us because they're ready to kind of take that next step in automation where we're not only summarizing meetings, as you'll see, but we also write to every specific CRM property. Happens completely automated in the background. It gets better the more you use it. And they just want a little bit more intelligent application to these things.
Got it, Sean. So let me just make sure I kind of picked up on the few things you kind of shared, but you're pretty much solving for note-taking, manual CRM entry, email follow-ups, and obviously analytics, right? You want to make sure that all that information is all placed together, right?
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. And when it comes to challenges, what were some of the challenges that those customers were actually facing, and what specific features did your software kind of help them overcome the challenge?
Yeah, a lot of people talk about the data accuracy being a challenge, but it's funny, like at the most fundamental challenge is just getting people to enter data into these systems of record, because it's a ton of work. And it's like, if you're a salesperson, you've got quota and you have meetings all day long, and you just get to the end of the day and you're like, man, the last thing I want to do is spend an hour and a half just writing like what I remember from the day into the CRM. So the number one challenge is just getting the information in so that it can be shared with your teammates, sales leaders. It can be handed off to account management once the deal's closed. Like, it's really important to get that data in there. So anyway, we solved that to start, where now you can at least automate what you were going to do. And the second challenge is getting enough information, like the detail, so the data quality. And that's what's really exciting. When you automate these things, it means that you not only can take away the annoying administrative work you were doing before, but you can add more data, more properties that you're collecting. The meeting notes just in general are much more detailed and informative. So you solve that data completeness and accuracy issue as well.
Yeah, you mentioned something I think is very important is there's a lot of sales teams that are not in the habit of documenting information in the CRM. Yeah. So everybody's documenting on Google Keep. They have a document. They even have it handwritten. And I mean, it's always good to look for a solution like this, but if it doesn't have any data to pick up from, it's kind of difficult to get those insights, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you look at like churn in most tech companies, like one of the biggest reasons by far is that implementation. And then implementation gets fumbled because the account management team just doesn't, they kind of have to like rediscover the issues and the problems that the customer's trying to solve. And like that's all things that are solved with just a better, more detailed note taking and property updates in the CRM during the sales process.
No, and I feel like the same goes to product, right? If you're not picking up on that feedback, how are you going to get those insights as well to work on that, right?
100%. It's like everything a product manager would ever want is, what are people saying at the front lines? They're looking to buy your product in market. They'll tell you, exactly what they're trying to solve for. And it's awesome to have that data.
Awesome. So just to give you a quick summary of what you shared is you're solving for time inefficiencies, incomplete and inaccurate information, right? As well as if you're not using the information that you're placing in the system, obviously you're not going to get actionable insights that you can actually use for your prospects and all that follow up and all that jazz, right? Yeah. So this is one of the favorite part of the session, which is you showing us the product. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and you can kind of walk us through those key features that your software kind of help overcome those challenges that you pretty much just mentioned, right?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. So what we're looking at here is this is our workspace. This is all real data. It's a conversation I had with this guy, Ricardo. And we'll walk through kind of like what CustomerIQ is doing. But a couple of things I want to point out before, like how this data got here. We basically just are trying to give teams full coverage of prospect and customer conversations, which means we have a number of different ways to bring in that unstructured conversation. This is one of them where we do have a meeting recording tool. So if you've used like a Fathom or a Fireflies, it's in at least parity with that, where every user in CustomerIQ, they connect their calendar. They have this awesome AI meeting assistant that then joins all of the meetings that they allow it to. It takes notes, transcribes the meeting. You have this perfect reference for the future. But we also analyze emails, open-ended text, like survey responses. We have a team just earlier this morning set up a analysis of a huge NPS survey they did. You transcribe voice notes for in-person meetings, connect to dialers, like really just any way that you're talking to the customer, we can capture it so that we can automate that data entry with full coverage, but also just get full coverage of the conversation. So
got it. Nice.
Yeah, this is the example we'll walk through. This was a Zoom meeting. You can see right out the gate, like we have meeting summary. These are great. Like and it's fun. This company was actually talking about another meeting tool. So we have this awesome summary of what was talked about. This gets emailed to everyone and also gets synced. In our case, we use HubSpot as the CRM. So this is added to the contact record as a meeting note, and we have coverage there. When I switch over to contacts, this is where kind of more of that detailed magic starts to happen, where in our workspace, and if we have time, we'll look at how this is set up, but we're capturing 10 or 15 contact fields, 10 or 15 company fields, some deal properties that we want to just start building the profile of who we're talking to. So
that means that any of those keywords that are picked up during the call, they'll go ahead and update the CRM, right? And I believe you also have an integration with Slack, right? So all this information is also being sent to Slack with tasks associated to that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's any CRM property. And the important distinction, we're not just talking about open-ended text. We're talking about like multi-select fields, drop downs, true, false, like whatever it is you want your team to capture, we can populate with the AI, and it's helpful because those other like drop downs and select fields are great for list building. So like this is going to power like any workflows you have in the background, like recontact lists that you make, really anything that you use the CRM for.
Got it. Nice. Yeah. So it's not going just based on that call, but it's going based on the historical emails, the surveys, to make sure that every next conversation is a lot stronger. Right.
Yeah.
So,
if you think of, and I think we'll talk about metrics in a second, but if you think of like a contact or a company or a deal as a profile, and maybe on average, your reps fill out 50% of that profile. Our goal is 100%. We call it data completeness. So just every field that you want to capture, we will try to capture from the conversation that's being had. Yeah, that's across meetings, surveys, emails, whatever it is, whatever touch point you have.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, sure. And then we'll just go through these a little quicker. Separate of the contact properties, we pull out what we call highlights. These are just anything notable found by the AI, and they're immediately categorized by a handful of things. So like questions, competitor mentions, feature requests, objections, pains, benefits. These are kind of like our default highlights where it's pulling out the open-ended text and just to organize it in this way. Teams can customize these. So if there's something more specific to your business, you can make that a highlight and it will search for these. And if we do get to it today, what's helpful about this is you can analyze these in aggregate. So across the entire workspace, I can see like what are the most frequently asked questions, or what are our top feature requests, or what are the biggest objections that we find across anything that we're analyzing.
All right, so that means that you can grab those questions, turn that into content, train your sales reps for objection handling, right? If you have any competitors that you're mentioning, you could go ahead and do like a one-pager so you can kind of share how your product can benefit more instead of the other company, right?
Yeah, you nailed it. And that's exactly, and it's, like all the use cases of that, there's so many that we see new ones every day. So our job is just to make sure we have the information, it's organized, it's easy to synthesize. I mean, we use it for marketing content, track objections, feature requests, leads our roadmap in that case. So yeah.
No, and that's one of the things that I take into practice, right? Whenever I hear a new pain point, I hear a new question, the first thing I think about is let me post that on LinkedIn. So if somebody comes with the same inquiry, I could go ahead and clarify it off the rip, right? So I feel like this is something that's definitely going to empower a lot of sales teams for them to kind of push out socials as well, right? Complement that with the prospecting they're doing. But awesome. Any other feature you kind of want to browse through, kind of show us?
Yeah, the other main one is tasks. So this is something that is the cool thing about tasks is that they evolve. Everyone who's used a meeting note taker has seen some version of this. What we're doing differently is this should be kind of highly intelligent, and it tunes to your company specifically. So as you have task comes in and you give kind of feedback to your CustomerIQ workspace, it will improve what tasks it pulls out in the future. And what this means is just a much more helpful, assistant to say hey, here's what we need to do next based on this conversation, and that's going to evolve over time. And then this, of course, also syncs back to HubSpot in this case, but whatever CRM you use to manage this.
Perfect. Nice.
Yeah.
What are the tasks? What are the deliverables and the people that are involved in setting up the software for this use case? And how long would it typically take to reach full productivity? Apart from that, one of the main questions that we get asked a lot is, what are your support channels? People tend to interact a lot with chat, or are you guys heavily on email? How does that work out?
Yeah. So I'll move backwards from there. We actually, if a team are on Slack, we love to connect on Slack with our customers, and there's a lot of great tools that kind of help us scale that up. Like Pylon is one, just give them a shout out. It's a great kind of Slack based support tool. But we have really close interaction with our teams, and that's probably a distinction. We do work with mostly teams, so we often coordinate closely with a head of RevOps or the COO or the CRO, anybody who's kind of managing the entire revenue teams across sales and customer success or account management. And then we roll out to the team, and our core users are those front lines, sales and account managers. But we really do see almost full coverage across almost all of our clients, where they get product in there. Like we see like recruiter, in-house recruiters use this because you have this great meeting recording functionality, but also the CRM is a source of record for really every team. So it's helpful to be analyzing that. Setup is we've spent a lot of resources to make this as easy as possible. So we work with whoever has admin privileges to the CRM. They integrate with the CRM with a couple clicks. They literally just go through and select all of the properties that they want the AI to be searching for. It's as easy as that. There's no more setup. Doesn't matter if they're drop downs or special fields or custom fields. We kind of figure that out on the back end. And then they invite their team, and the team comes in, connects their calendar, and they're up and running. So all in, this takes if you're ready, just a couple minutes really, but most teams have everyone set up, recording meetings, automating data entry in the first day or two.
Got it. And when it comes to the KPIs, let's say I want to consider this product, what are some of the key performance indicators that I should look out for? I know you mentioned a few of them, like saving time, data accuracy, deal velocity, but what is something else that you think I should look out for if I decide to purchase?
Yeah, I mean, the main one that like a CFO would currently be tracking probably is along the lines of like deal cycle time or pipeline velocity, just like how fast do we move deals through the pipeline. And that's on the sales or customer success side, just because the granular things that we're doing is really lifting the administrative burden from these teams. So we do help you manage a number of kind of like key metrics that lead to that deal cycle shortening. Those are data accuracy. So like how accurate is the data we're putting in, completeness. Like I mentioned before, we take stock of like across everything that you've mapped with us so far. What is it? How complete is it over the last 30, 60, 90 days? And then we track how that improves. And then it improves dramatically because the AI is automating all the data entry there. So just kind of the data integrity. And then the last one is just time saved. So like we know that on average, each rep is going to spend an hour over the course of the day inputting data. This is an hour they get back. Yes, that's at least 5 hours a week that they literally can spend now more time talking to prospects, prospecting, getting more meetings. And then there's just like the quality of life. No one likes to do data entry. So generally people love that it gets done for them.
Awesome. Well, Sean, I think that was a great, quick and fast and strong session. I know we wanted to cover only like what 70% of admin time will look like, but there was a lot more benefits that we got off of that. All those insights, all that information, you can turn it into social content, attract more buyers, focus more on prospecting, right? And making sure that your data is accurate. But is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience for them to make an informed decision if they decide to go for your product?
I think we covered it. I mean, our big kind of our roadmap is take that 70% of what you'd spend your time on doing those administrative tasks, get that back to you so you can spend time just talking to people, having great conversations like this, and closing deals. And so right now, the big chunk of that is CRM data entry. In the future from us, we help with email follow-ups, scheduling, just all the things that take up your time during the day that no one enjoys doing, but are just critical to winning sales. So yeah, you look out from that in the future. But if you're sick of typing in the CRM, we got you.
This is the right place to go.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Sean. I think it was a great session. I do thank you for your time. For those that are watching, if you're looking to consider CustomerIQ, benefit of those things that Sean mentioned, we'll go ahead and share our link in the description below. We'll be publishing this across our newsletters. We'll have some content out there so that you guys can also watch, take some action. But Sean, thank you for this session.
Yeah, thanks so much, Dave. This is great.
Awesome. You take care.